Welcome to Inwards Outwards, an open mic event at Deb Kaufman's Art Space, featuring storytellers, poets, musicians, and performers from Berkshire County.
Inwards, outwards. Inwards, out.
Okay, we're going to start the April Fool's edition of iWow with our theme, inspiration. And who doesn't need a little inspiration these days? I'm Eileen Marcus, and I'm your host today, and I'm really honored to be here. I didn't make it to the last few. Too much emotions, too much stuff, too much forgetting, but iWow inspires me, you inspire me, and everything that Deb Kaufman ever did inspired me. So here I am, all inspired and ready to spend the night with you. So we have a list and we're going to have some announcements. First, if you still want to perform, change your mind. We have a small group tonight, want to perform again, feel free to write that in your chat. Secondly, a lot of people have asked about Deb's soul support art that they saw in the Berkshire Eagle, and that's still available online. And Denise, who is now our fearless keeper, will put a link in the chat of where that can be found. So everybody give a nice hand for Denise, who is putting us together because we need her. We have a host for this month, a host for next month, but if you're interested in April, May, June, let us know and you're welcome to sign up. And if you've never hosted before, just reach out to one of us that has, and we'll help you with it. And thank goodness Denise is dealing with all the technical side. So our slots are usually around 3 minutes. We all remember Deb's waterfall timer. We're going to be really flexible tonight because it's a small group. So the most important thing is to show us who you are, get us engaged, keep us connected, and that we all really smile and feel. So with that, it's a real honor to introduce Jeannie Basis for our first performance of the evening to start off April 2021 iWow!
Woo-hoo! All right, thank you. I'm inspired, Eileen. Thank you. Anyway, I'm going to do a song that I've lately been working on again that was written bunch of years back when somebody very dear to me and many people in our community passed away. And some of the people on this call knew him. His Sanskrit name was Balbhadra. His English name was Douglas or Kim Brady. He went by several names. And he was the creator of a beautiful training called Embodiment that I took in the early 90s and then was on staff with it and healing work. He was a healer, he was a teacher, and so I wrote this song for him. It's called Song for Balbhadra. He was a man, reached out his hand to help everyone ease their pain. Blessings for this man, blessings for this healer man. Now that he's gone, his spirit skips free. The healer supreme, teacher of the dream, showed so many how to live their truth. That again. I love him. I miss his laugh. I love him. I miss his laugh. Huge heart shine bright, embrace dark and light. For me to be me. so sad and yet beautifully ironic that his heart gave out. He raised the bar near and far and held each soul as truly divine. He was a man, reached out his hand to help everyone ease their pain. I love him, I miss his laugh, I love him.
Quick on mute for clapping. Thank you, Jeannie, for starting us off. There were Thank you, Jeannie, for starting us off.
Thank
There
you.
were a few lines in there that just stood out. Love their truth, for me to be me, and beautifully ironic. Those are going to stay with me. That's some good writing over there. So it is April IWOW, and I'd like to tell you all that as host, I get to pick a charity for this month. Usually we make a gift in honor of our ability to be able to perform, and the fact that Deb offered this space and made it safe, and to remember that while we're out here finding our truth, there are a lot of people that need help finding their truth. So I have chose the Non-Profit Center of the Berkshires, NPC of the Berkshires. Does everybody know who they are? They are the best kept secret in the Berkshires. NPC is the coordinating center for all of the nonprofits. There are over 1,000 nonprofits in the Berkshires, believe it or not. And during, especially during these past few months, the nonprofits overall, even versus tourism, are a good 25% of the Berkshire economy all year round. So all the workers really contribute, and the nonprofits and all the money that raised stays local. And the Nonprofit Center hosts, has its mission to learn, to connect, to grow better leaders, better nonprofits, and strengthen their mission. So I'll put a link in the chat, but if you don't know them, they're a really great organization. They sponsor the annual Heroes Awards breakfast up here, all the nonprofit awards, and that's coming out. You'll see it in the Berkshire Eagle. So please, and reach out to me. I'm a board member. So if you have any questions, NPC is a great help. And if you're struggling with a nonprofit, that's what we do. Okay, that's it for announcements and the charity of the month. So now, next on our list is Eric Reinhardt, accompanied by the fabulous Francine. Unmute. Eric, Francine, unmute. Thank you.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Can you hear us okay? Yeah? Thumbs up. Okay. This song was written by, you guys all, or some of you know Todd Mack from, FODFest and Music in Common. And I've been involved with him in the past with meeting with young adults and collaborating on songs. They're making a whole album worth this year, and mine's going to be in the January one, and it's January bridge session was called Reimagining Politics, and they sent me back the lyrics that we all worked on together, and I put the music to it. It's called Mercy Me. Mercy me, I can only imagine what life will be like when we put love into action. Imagine like Lennon, where we be, we'll be free. What will it take to pull us back from the edge? For eyes to look each other in the heart again. What will it take? What will it take to pull us back from the edge again? For us to look each other in the heart again. Whoa.
The solution begins within, when we see the inherent value and equality of all people. The solution begins when we open our hearts and minds to love neighbors as we love ourselves.
Remember, respect, learn to reflect, flexible identity, action linked to empathy. Oh, mercy me, I can only imagine what life will be like when we put love into action. Imagine like Lennon, where we'd be, we'll be free. Whoa. Unconditionally open your heart and empower your community. Seeking deepest truths ourselves, not forcing them on others. Patience, perseverance, and unity. As Aretha said, respect. Making an us and them when it should be a we. The problem is power itself. We can't just hope this will all clear up soon. We have a history of where people have really struggled to vote, but what has come of it? There's pressure from every side. Whoa! Politics begin when you open your eyes and keep on ticking till the day you die. The solution begins when we recognize that we're not just friends, but kin. Part of the beautiful human race. Many different colors, one common skin. In each jewel is reflected all other jewels. In each jewel is reflected all other jewels. Oh, mercy me,
You are not alone.
I can only imagine what life will be like. We are not alone when we put love into action. Whoa, mercy me.
Woo, feel free to unmute and give them some love. Some love right in the chat what you loved. I love that. Take us back to the look in pull us back to the edge, look each other in the heart again.
Yeah.
And hearts really remind me of Deb, not to get too what's the word, emotional, but I'm not an artist, I really want to be a writer, and I work, and I know I have a little bit of a gift. I have one of my biggest fans sitting here, Miss Betsy Smith. I have one of my, that I can be a writer, but I would take some of Deb's Saturday classes, right, about inspiration and creativity. And I know there's a poem in me about non-dominant hand because I couldn't understand it for the longest time, but I think it really showed the love. But I used to say to Deb, I have a lot of trouble. And she would be like, you're thinking too small. Make your art bigger. It's not just about what you put on the page or what you write. Think about it, Eileen. Think about your art. So you should know on one of those Saturday mornings when Deb, would give us inspiration and give us warm up and have us draw it non-dominant hand and say, go off and create. I took my lawnmower and I mowed a huge heart in my lawn, and it's still there. So that is my inspiration Deb story. I'll post it. It's really pretty, and it's just beautiful, and my whole backyard is now around it. And Deb's like, now that's how you need to think. Use your lawnmower to make art. That's something.
Oh, that's great.
Yay.
I really appreciate those words, Eric, and because they really made me think of that. So thank you. Okay, so next up we have Sonia Pleisa, and after Sonia is Frank Goya on deck. I'm sorry, I haven't been saying who's on deck. So Frank, you're on deck, and Sonia, you can introduce yourself, and the stage is yours.
Okay, hi. My name is, actually, you don't have to unmute yourself because just in case you laugh, I want to hear. My name is actually Sonia Pilser. I just wanted to say, as some people know, I've written books, and some of you have read them. And in the last couple of years, I had real trouble writing books, again, novels. And I've started writing these short pieces. Sometimes they're in The Edge, sometimes they're other places. And they've really opened up a lot for me. So this is just something that came to me that I want to share with you, okay? It's called Doorknobbing Wisdom. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Doorknobbing Wisdom.
Yes.
In therapy, in the last moments, I had a breakthrough. I just realized it was my mother, not my father. A whole world of exploration opens. Yes, and beep, time's up, next. But this is important. We'll continue our discussion next time, the therapist says kindly. But therapists call this doorknobbing. The client doesn't want to leave, wants to keep yakking just as the session is ending. Yet we need boundaries. Imagine if the 50-minute session went on for 3 hours. Pity the poor shrink. On and on her patients would gabble into oblivion. I've noticed a similar phenomenon when I meditate. During COVID, I joined a Buddhist meditation group that meets at 10:30 every morning. We are sometimes 140 people in Zoom boxes. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, the leaders greet us. On some days, there are teachings, Dharma talks, question and answer periods. Of course, my mind wanders hither and thither. I return to my private mantra, to the breath, over and over again. It's a struggle, one that I choose to pursue every morning. But when I peek out of the slits of my eyes at my analog clock, I notice I have 5 minutes. Oh, that's when I really settle, breathe deeply, and begin to enter the zone. Yes, yes, what calm. Ah, and that's when the bell rings once, twice, thrice. I bow and look at the gallery of meditators. We wave to each other till tomorrow morning. Is it about things ending? The 5 more minutes of childhood play? Another slice of pie, please? The snooze button of a precious dream? When we suddenly grasp for wisdom, for what we've been searching for that has eluded us, and there it is within our grasp, just as the time has run out. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm not announcing any more names because I'm name challenged, but Sonia, you gave us a lot to think about just as the time runs out. That's
Okay, great. And feel free to write any comments. I'm
Yeah,
always-
write in the chat what stuck with you, what you loved, what you want to hear more of,
I'm just
where
curious.
you want to buy her book, whatever you want. What are you drinking? No.
Oh, come on.
No, what, Sonia, go.
I was curious to know how many of you had ever heard the term doorknobbing.
Never,
Yeah.
never heard of it.
Actually, I will tell you, you might not know this about me. I'm a social worker by training. And actually, doorknobbing refers to two effects. The one that you said, they don't want to stop and they're standing by the doorknob. But it also refers to the category I fell into in therapy, which was, I would say, the most important thing as I was turning the knob and walk out so I didn't have to discuss it. So it can
That's
happen.
good. That's good.
It could happen both ways, doorknobbing, so yeah, it's a thing. All right, next we have Frank, and on deck is Diana. So Frank's up and Diana, you're on deck.
So it's nice to see you
How are
folks.
you?
I think I'm still muted.
No. Can you
No,
hear?
you're not muted.
I'm not muted. Thank you, Diana.
Some people aren't muted though, and it's hard to hear.
Yeah,
Some people aren't muted.
speaker view.
Yeah, so wasn't everyone mute, and Denise will mute us. Sonia had asked if we stayed unmuted so she could hear the laugh. It's hard when you're reading and you want to see the feedback, but if everyone can mute, and then we'll unmute at the end to show our love. Okay, but Frank, you need to unmute so we can hear you.
Okay, we're all set.
So I should be unmuted now. You can hear me.
Yes, and I want to do that again. I am now queuing. It is the fabulous, everybody with an F gets a fabulous tonight. A fabulous Frank is about to perform.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice introduction. So I have something to say that I've never said before. I've read at IWOW for about 10 years. And tonight, I'm going to read a story from my book. So I just want to show you my book. It's called The Mercury Man. Hi, Jeannie. So I'm going to read an excerpt from one of the stories in the book. And the story is called Get a Job. Aunt Marion, my cousin Lefty's mom, was deeply religious. Attended the 6:30 Mass every morning at St. Barbara's over on Bleecker Street, deep in the heart of Bushwick, near the chicken market, where every so often she would pick up a couple of skinned rabbits for a special Sunday dinner. Roast coniglio with sea salt and green olives. She walked over a mile to church instead of going to St. Martin of Tours, a few blocks from the family home on Putnam. Preferred to sit with the 3 or 4 other Italian ladies dressed all in black, to hear the words of God from Father Conti, rather than trying to understand the brogue of Father Sweeney. She was convinced that by going to Mass every day and praying to what she called the Almighty, she would remain in a state of grace and escape the evil eye of the devil. The Maloik, or Malocchio, as every good Sicilian knew, was a curse to be avoided. Better to spend your time praying to the Lord, increase your chances of remaining in his good graces, and cut down on the possibility that you could end up in hell for all eternity. Once I went to their house to see Lefty, and I heard her praying through the open bedroom window. Dearest and most merciful God, she said, creator of all that is good and holy, remember us, your humble servants. Bless us and shine perpetual light upon us. This was in 6th grade, when I was around 11 years old and a student at 14 Holy Martyrs. It was during the time I was studying to be confirmed. where on a given Sunday morning, you say a few prayers, a bishop from the diocese blesses you, and then smacks you across the face, a little too hard. Just like that, you become a soldier in God's army, no physical exam even. During the lead up to this event, the church pastor would constantly remind the boys in our class that we should be thinking about what we could do to live more meaningful lives, how we could better serve God, that we should consider becoming priests. No, I liked the direction that Lefty was going, hanging out in that bar and grill down on Knickerbocker, Vito's place, where he hung out with this guy, Skinny Vinny, who always wore a suit, no tie, and carried a roll of 50s big enough to choke a horse. I like the idea of going to work in a suit, stopping by the boot black every morning to get my featherweights polished. 2 bits, 15 cents for the shine guy and a dime for the tip. Let them get their hands dirty. I liked having clean nails. Thank you.
Ted.
Thank you. We could share what we loved in the chat. For me, I think I dated Skinny Vinny. He sounds awfully okay, but that was great. I still, you know, when you think back in your life, you forget what an honor it was to be read to, right? By the librarians, by the teachers. It's really lovely to be read to. So thank you. It's, you know, everyone who's reading it. It's really, it just, it brings me back to a very safe place. And I love that. Okay, so Diana.
I'd love to get some links to some people's books. We've just had 2 books referred to.
Yes, put them in the chat, and you know, or if you don't want to put it in the chat, you could just email it to me or Denise, and we'll, like, you know, do a follow-up email. Is that okay, Denise? I'm volunteering us, but yeah, that's the purpose of this, for the exchange, to see each other. So if it doesn't go in the chat, we'll put it in a follow-up email. Thanks, Ted. That's good. Okay, so we have Diana up, and we have Francine on deck. Diana up and Francine on deck.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. I love seeing you all. It's really such a treat. I'm exhausted, but I wouldn't miss it for anything. I wanted to just share, Jeannie, I was so lovely to hear your song about Balbadra. I looked for my photo of him, but couldn't find it. I wanted to show you all, but I couldn't find it. If I do, I'll send you, because he was precious to us. Thank you for that. And I also, just in terms of people inspiring, I wanted to comment that my daughter, Maya, who some of you may know, has gotten appointments for probably 40, 50 people. If you're needing, you know, if you're still looking, most of us are old enough to have gotten our jabs easily, but Maya's great at finding appointments for people. So if you want to know, let me know in the chat and I will connect you. Okay, I wrote a little something. It's a little something on inspiration. Life, death, beauty, spring, fall, earth, flowers, Deb, all of you, everything inspires. Lately, I've been noticing how inspired I'd become to be more politically active. And you know who did most of the inspiring for this? That ogre monster president, Donald J. Trump. He awoke the need to do something, anything, to counter the awfulness he creates. So cruelty, heartlessness, and narcissistic egos inspire as well. It's not a place I like to go to, but he has created an imperative for me. He's an evil force that must be stopped. He has shown us so many weaknesses in so many of our systems that require repair. It's a gift in a way, like a broken bone that needs to be reset. I am not alone in being inspired by him. A significant portion, 43 million of the 73 million that voted for him, still think he won the last election. This is enough to inspire big trouble in our land. Why won't he go away already? Because he's a sore loser. He's inspired by adulation. And what better place in the whole entire world is there than the presidency of our beloved United States? Whose inspiration will win out? Because it is a fight for the survival of our democracy. I'm inspired by the many good folks working hard to oppose the negative forces of white supremacy. Let us gather our inspiration together and hold down these negative forces. Inspiration can be found in many places. Choose yours wisely. That's it. A little diatribe.
Thank you, Diana. A lot of words, and it's so true. We never know where inspiration is going to come from. And your daughter, 40 or 50 appointments, boy. I mean, getting one, I was, going to go over the edge. So that was really great.
It inspires her to help people.
Yeah, well, that's what this is about, helping each other and sharing. That's what it's about. I was just thinking though, can you imagine Trump in therapy? Which doorknob? He would probably do the one that he'd keep the hand on the doorknob but never stop talking, right? He would never run away. Oh yeah, that's what I think, and run out. So we know how that goes. Doorknob therapy with Trump. That's a good title for a book. Okay, so next we have Francine with a melody for us, and Susie Kaufman, you are on deck. Francine.
Hi, everyone. So I thought I had 1 to 3 minutes. So I was going to share an exercise that I've been doing, but I wrote this little song. Maybe I could do that too. I don't know exactly how
Absolutely,
much.
Francine. I think we should give her the green light for both. What does everybody think? Are we inspired? Green light? Yes, okay. Francine, both.
Okay. All right. So we'll do both. So I've been reading this book. It's called Free Your Voice. And it's written by a woman named Sylvia Nacok. I think that's how you pronounce her name. And Valerie Carpenter. And she does these vocal exercises. And the first one is called a primordial hue. And it's like this breath onto the voice sound. So I'm going to play a drone for about 1 minute and 20 seconds. And if you want to join me, it's real simple, so feel free. But I just wanted to share this with you because this is what I've been doing. And you'll catch on real easy. Can you hear the drone? Can you hear it now? No. Might need to skip the drone, I guess.
You might have to share audio on the computer you're on sometimes.
Share. Oh. I don't know how to do that.
I don't know how I know that, but.
No, it's too.
Or make it louder.
I can hear it.
Yeah.
We'll drone on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you technically need the drone. It's just, I mean, I've been doing it just on one note. So I'll just do it like that. Oh, and the time is changed. Yeah. We're going to skip the drone because the time, I had it set up for a time and now it's all kafakta? Kafakta? No, that's not right.
Fakakta, yeah. Good British word. But Francine, I know I'm overstepping my bounds here in your presentation, but why don't you describe to us what happens to you when you do it, since we didn't get to see it?
Oh, I'm going to do it. We're just going to do it without the drone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Shoo. 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 And then by leaving those couple seconds of silence at the end, I can feel, I don't know if you were going along with this or not, but I can feel what the tone does to my body. It's like a special kind of silence. So I don't know, were you guys able to do it with me, or was it more of like a listening thing? It was a doing with. Yeah. It's pretty
You're-
cool.
Yeah, Zoom cuts, I think cuts you out when your volume reaches a certain decibel. So it went like this, then it just stopped.
Oh,
So we
okay.
didn't hear a trail off, which I think was
Oh.
there. And we couldn't appreciate your silence. So it's good you described it.
Yeah. So it's basically like the first exercise, it's a breath onto voice, it's kind of getting things going, and then you take that couple seconds of silence at the end just to feel the silence, the tone, or the lack of tone.
The Tuvanese do a version of that for throat singing.
Oh, that throat singing is wild. That's for next session, throat singing.
Yeah.
All right, so I've been fiddling around with songwriting, just kind of beginning stages, really. And so Eric gave me a lesson the other day, and this is what came out of it. Let's see, the book fell, so I lost my lyrics. Uh-oh. May not be
I'm
able-
finding her page turning very inspirational.
That's the drone. The other
Yeah,
drone
it's
didn't
good.
work.
You got a rhythm going.
Oh, here it is. Okay.
See, it works every time.
I have a plan. I have a practice. I give it time. I give it nurture. Sometimes I laugh. Sometimes I break down. Sometimes I growl. Sometimes I share it. But I have a plan. I have a practice for now. Thanks, everybody.
Francine, that was so great. And also, just with that drone thing, I think everyone here, and we, someday might want to talk about it, creative process is really key to all of us, and how you get
Yeah.
into that flow state and how you get that inspiration. So
Yes.
really appreciate that insight into how you've been working it and what you've been doing. Very helpful.
Oh, cool. I'm so glad.
So another round of applause for Francine with a lesson by Eric and a drone that makes us all want to perform. But it was the page turning that got me. I literally couldn't wait for you to turn the page. No,
It's always when you don't expect.
yes, always. Okay, so now next is dun, 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 drum roll, Susie Kaufman, and on deck is Ted Phelps. I said that right? The Phelpses. Ted Phelps. All right. So here is Susie Kaufman holding down the fort.
Oops. Oh, now am I muted again? Can you hear me?
You're perfect.
Okay, excellent. So here's a little piece of something from this afternoon. When I peeled the clementine and separated the sections from the outer layer of the fruit and from one another, it gave off a scent of perfumed oil, like the creamsicles the man used to sell out of a white refrigerated cart in the playground in Riverside Park. He was not the good humor man, and he was not even especially good humored. He was just a crabby old guy whose work brought him in close contact with the young. His job was to perform the alchemy of transforming the nickels and dimes into cold sugar on a stick. This memory came to me in the parking lot of my doctor's office, popping the pieces of clementine into my mouth, rewarding myself for sitting masked and stoic in the waiting room while the minute hand on the wall clock circled around and around. In due course, the doctor had pronounced me good to go, another 6 months in the bag above ground. The encounter of the young with the aging is little understood and much sentimentalized. On seeing me after a year and a half up in Minnesota when we visited, my 11-year-old grandson turned to his mother and said, "She's so old." He meant it as an observation, not an expression of contempt, I think, but I couldn't help but notice that getting older has a very different meaning for him when he's referring to himself. It has to do with increased height and new opportunities, more challenging trumpet pieces, more money in his pocket, the new landscape of middle school. For me, the good stuff is all interior and generally invisible to the public. If anything, I've become shorter, if you can believe it, more solitary, less adventurous. I imagine that I look like a somewhat frayed version of my former self, but trust me, I'm secretly cooking up a mindful sweetness that may be the creamsicle of my later years. In spite of the fact that each and every time I type the word creamsicle, my fingers automatically insert a K after the second C, so the word sick jumps out at me. I am nonetheless smelling the clementine peel, and that's something I may have missed entirely under the jungle gym in the playground.
Show her some love in the chat. Susie, such vivid images. And, I'm thinking about a mindful sweetness. That's really something. But, I just love it. You took something so serious and just related it to something so that we all experience every day. So thank you. And, I love that perspective, right? Inspiration's all about perspective. Yeah, as I think about older, I'm every day cursing my kindergarten teacher who didn't make sure I understood the foot bones connected to the ankle, to the knee, you know what's coming next, the back, the knee. Right now I know they're all connected, then I didn't. So yeah, someone getting older, oh, I have money, I can date people, I can go out. What a different perspective, right? Really beautiful.
Thank you.
Yay. All right, so we are winding down. We have Ted Phelps and then Rosalind. If anybody else wants to sign up, they're welcome. If anybody else wants to sing a last song, if anybody else wants to tell a story, I can tell a story if you still are needing a little more excitement. But that's our lineup for tonight. Next is Ted, and then we have Rosalind. So if you want to sign up, just let us know in the chat. And with that, we will have the theatrical Ted.
Theatrical Ted, thank you. I won't be theatrical. Yeah, you say I wow and inspiration, and it's just plain Kaufman. Yes, Deborah. Yeah. So here's something that I did at IWOW in 2015 for April. And it's short, so I was able to also do the helpful educational thing that a few people might want, which is to hear Jeffrey Chaucer's general prologue, introduction to the Canterbury Tales, a few lines in what I think more or less simulates the original. And then I'll do a little bit of the translation, and then I'll do the poem that I wrote, trying to follow the form that he uses throughout this amazing piece. Canterbury Tales. So the original was sounded something like this: Juan dat April, which means April, right? Juan dat April with his shore at Sota, the drocht of March hath pierced to the rota, and bathed every vine in switch liquor, of which vertu engendered is the floor. And so it goes, and then it ends, the portion that I sort of will copy, ends in "Than longen folk to go on pilgrimages." And the sort of modern English translation, especially of that last line, says, "And palmers go seeking out strange lands." And of course, the beginning of it is, "When in April the sweet showers fall that pierce March's drought to the root," and like that. So it's a beginning. It's saying when something happens in April, then. So here is my poem, and it looks like this, nice and square, because it will have 10 syllables. And when I wrote it, I would use my fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. When the melt of April in this part of Mother Earth has come to free us from the, like that. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But I won't read it that way. That's no fun. So I will read it as if there's no form to it at all. See if you can follow the logic of it. When the melt of April in this part of Mother Earth has come to free us from the grip of cold that held us by the fire and sent us out to look for wood, then happy children press their faces to the glass to see the sun burn off the last of snow, and tumble past each other down the stairs and out the back door with no shoes on, running to the warming arms of mud or earth, while men and women rise from bed, still wet with dreams, and drink their coffee at the window opened now to let the newborn breezes clean the house of winter. Then a hunger will awaken for fresh pilgrimages.
I was captivated by the rhythm.
Oh, great. Great. Thank you.
Ted, what was
And
that line about winter? The what of winter?
what does the poet say again about the winter? I have to look.
Anybody
Clean,
else have
clean the house of winter.
clean
that
the
the
house
one?
of winter?
Newborn breezes.
Newborn breezes. Yeah, it's the open. And they're drinking coffee at the window, opened now to let the newborn breezes clean the house of winter.
Clean the house of winter.
Yeah.
I think that could replace the Game of Thrones. Winter is coming. Clean the house of winter should be the next
Oh,
season.
great.
All right, thank
Thank
you,
you.
the theatrical Ted. We have another late entry. So excited! It's not too late to sign up. So we're gonna have Rosalind, and then we will have Alyssa. Do I said that right? Alyssa or Lisa? Rosalind and Alyssa. Okay,
Alyssa.
Rosalind, you're up. Alyssa, you're on deck.
Yep, it's thank you, Rosalind, and then it's Elisa. Thank you, Eileen. So, all right, I'm gonna tell a story, and it's gonna be partly seated, and then I'm gonna stand up to share some props. And I always know when I'm to speak when my heart starts fluttering. So my heart is fluttering right now. Okay. In the middle of February of this year, I was walking in Housatonic with my dog, Sequoia. And in front of a huge house that I used to live in years ago, I saw a piece of paper, garbage, or something that wanted to be in the garbage. And I picked it up and I placed it in the receptacle of the house that was, I'm sorry, I'm seeing like this big picture of Elisa right in front of me, and it's really hard to tell a story. I don't know how to.
Go up to the little left-hand corner, right-hand corner that looks like a cookie tray or dots. It says view, and change to click gallery view.
Okay.
I should have also asked, does anybody have technical problems? But you're all doing great. So
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna, wait 1 second. I'm sorry.
gallery view, it's up on the little right-hand corner. I
Yeah.
call it the cookie tray. What do other people call it?
Speaker. Okay. No. All right. Oh, it's actually a little visual. It's a little challenging for me to see all these spaces. Okay. So I'm in Housatonic and I see a piece of garbage and I pick it up and I put it in the garbage can. And it happens to be the house that I used to live in years ago. And next to the garbage can is a recycling bin. And I look into the recycling bin and see something that is incredibly eye-catching. And I decide I haven't met these people who have moved into this big house, and I go to the kitchen and knock on the door and nobody answers. And I go back to the recycling bin because I'm really taken by what I see in the recycling bin. And I think to myself, well, it's in the recycling bin, so it's wanting to be recycled. And I pick it up, and then somebody comes out of the house and asks if he can help me. And I proceed to tell him how I had lived in the house and am enamored by this, this article that he's recycling. And I ask if I can have it. And he says yes. And there were a lot of these particular pieces of cardboard that wanted to be recycled. And I asked if I could have all of them. And he said yes. So I proceeded to walk up the hill, and I sort of neglected to say that this house that I once lived in, I lived in because in the 90s, Deb told me about it as a place to live because Deb had lived in that house previously. So I'm walking up the hill with my dog Sequoia, and this was recently after Deb had continued her journey on. And I'm going, oh my gosh, I just went to the house that Deb had lived in and that I then had lived in. And I'm walking with a piece of cardboard. And it looked exactly like this, okay? And can you see it? Eileen, shake your head if you can see it. Yeah, okay, thank you. And I just like fell in love with its texture and its design. And the next morning I got up early and I went to the house's recycling bin and I got a whole bunch of items like this. And I put them in my living room and I didn't know what I was going to do with them. However, I was really taken that it was cardboard because I don't work in cardboard. But Deb, as everybody knows, or most people know, predominantly worked in cardboard. So I had these hanging around in my living room, and then I recognized that what they spell, I can't spell it all out, but you get the idea. Here's the L, right? You see the L? Eileen, yes? Yep. Yep, thank you. And then there was a square O, and the cardboard spelled love. And so this was incredible. So I was inspired. I was inspired in honor of Deb to create a piece of art. And yeah, and I just think it's beautiful. And I'm not sure whether I want to fill in all the little spaces or not, but this is the piece of art that came from the recycling, and I was inspired, and it all really came about because I picked up a piece of trash. So, and I put it in the garbage. And so we never know really what garbage will take us to, and what happens when we recycle.
Eliza?
There might
What'd you say?
be love.
Elisa?
Thank you.
I think all of us are like, oh, that is such a beautiful story. You never know what happens when you pick up the trash. It's so true, you know? What's that saying? Another person's garbage is someone else's treasure. And yeah, I still can see myself in that bathroom of Deb's studio, you know? Like there were all these things always that she was starting to work on. There were always seedlings in the bathroom, pieces of cardboard, pieces she put together, you know? So that is great. Thank you. Thank you. We hope to see it in person one day. And now we have, I'm going to butcher it again. I have a niece called Alyssa, but it's Ali. Say your name.
Elisa.
Alisa, you're not Alyssa, my name. Alisa, we are so happy to have you with that big tree growing for inspiration. And thank you, Rosalind.
This is going to be
Feel the
about
love.
this tree.
All right, Alisa,
Okay.
you're on.
Okay, well, this is very experimental. I would never have had the nerve, except that we had time to even think of doing this. For those of you who know me, you know that I've worked spiritually for many years, and I get a lot of information spiritually from the spiritual realms. And many years ago, I started having love affairs basically with large old trees, and found that I was able to talk to them as well. So I have over 1,000 pages of discussions with large old trees and from all over the world. And one of the things that I discovered when I started talking to them was that they pretty much could gather information from anywhere. I mean, they can read any signal, so they can read anything. I once asked them, you mean you can watch TV? And they said, yeah, but most of it's crap. But we love your art and music and dance and poetry. So given that, whether you believe me or not is absolutely fine. You can take this as fiction or not, but I'm not a terribly imaginative person. I've worked with these trees, and at a certain point, they said that they were going to collaborate to try to save our planet and replenish the life force on planet Earth. So the piece that I'm going to read now is a discussion that I had with this tree that's behind me. It's called the mountain ash. It's a type of eucalyptus. And I met this tree in the Dandenong Range outside of Melbourne. And I just, if there's any tree that can illustrate that they can pretty much know just about anything about me or about what's going on in the world, I think it's this one. Again, if you don't believe me, you can, I don't know. I hope you'll enjoy it. I thought this was the funniest tree that I've ever met. And it seemed like after I met this tree, all my other trees got a lot funnier. So maybe it's just mine, but I'm happy to get any feedback on this. Okay. So basically I started, "Dear Tree," and the ash said to me, "Mister," to you. I said, "Whoa, feisty. May I please speak to you, mister?" He said, "You can," and he was clearly laughing. "I can't be beholden to your customs and inner slavery to thoughts that take their sustenance out of forms old and decrepit. I am modern." I said, "You are very funny too." He said, "I am the trickster too. Now you see it, now you don't." I said, "And you know these expressions?" He said, "You know, we have this habit of listening in on your communications, and we find them knee-slappingly funny. Your purpose is to contact me and others like me who've taken to finding habitats where we won't be disturbed. But you people always find us anyway." I said, "What is your purpose?" He said, "To find these strange implications and word associations funny, and to make it all a bit lighter. I am the walrus. I am the forest." I said, "Are you aware of my tree friends? I have a jokester in my favorite forest in America too." He said, "They are very funny too, always joking around about saving this earth. There's already a nest, a warren of crazy people. Insanity reigns supreme with your species. but your tree's honesty is refreshing, and their sincerity too. I said, aren't all trees honest and sincere? He says, yes, but some don't give a damn about saving anything. They just go about their business like children of your species. I said, despite your laughter, I get that you're serious and are joining in with my forest's interest in renewing life on Earth. He said, it is my presumption that I can join anything I want to, but they have made me welcome even in my innocence and not being as strong as some of these others. I have something to contribute. I can make them laugh and giggle and sigh with relief and be a messenger of joy. I said, thank you. He said, they call you beloved. I do too. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think we've seen that with those heavy winds, the trees showing us who they are lately. They've really been dancing, really been dancing. All right, last call for iWow April. Anybody? Last call. Keith, any art to share? Anyone? All right, I'm gonna end us with a story. And
Wait,
anybody?
I was gonna say, can we do little announcements?
Oh yeah, my fault entirely. Announcements.
Or you want to
Yes.
do the story first, or?
I'll do the story, then we'll do announcements. We'll remind you of the thing. We'll say our goodbyes. Denise will keep it open a little so if people want to chat. So, a lot of things about love tonight. And me and Deb Kaufman spent a lot of time talking about love, how to find it, where we feel it, how we express it, what kind of love we want, and we spent a lot of time talking about romantic love. About how that was something we felt we missed in our life, something we didn't have, and we talked a lot about it, and Deb lived through what I'm about to share with you. So I have a 78 Chevy Cheyenne that it's so old. The seats are so slippery, the leather, you fall back in them and I have to cling to the steering wheel, because if I don't, I can't reach the pedal because the seats are so fall back. And on the bumpy roads, it's really hard to see where you're going, and I'm short, so I have to really put my foot down to make it stop. And as I'm shifting into second to third gear, I think about my ex-husband. I've been divorced almost 20 years. And I think about how he taught me to drive stick, and the promise of that life, and the white sporty car, and everything we did, fast and flashy and all those things. And I remember him teaching me how to shift. It was a little hard for me. Anyway, my daughter came home from college a few years ago, and she realized Mom really did move to the Berkshires. I don't live on the Upper West Side anymore. And that means she has to learn how to drive, because how do you get from the Upper West Side to, the Berkshires if you don't drive? And she said, how do I learn to drive? And I said, well, you ask your father. And the kid looked at me like I was from Mars. You got to be joking, Ma. I said, no, really, trust me. He's instructive. He's supportive. He did a good job. He really does do a good job in driving. And she said, all right. And she trusted me, and she learned to drive with her father. And it was totally classic my ex. Really strong beginning, totally effed up ending. She was driving, she's doing great. And 2 days before the road test, can't take it on his car. The speedometer's broken, had to scramble to find a car. And of course, she failed the test, was a little scarred for life. But here I am now, years later, driving along in the 78 Cheyenne, the wood beds, the old mirrors, and sitting next to me is this guy, this man that I've fallen in love with. And he gave me the truck. He gave me the truck as a future of our promise together. And, as I'm shifting from first to second gear, I find myself grateful for my ex-husband for teaching me how to drive stick. So that is a gear shift. So that's my story. You never know where love and inspiration is going to take you. So with that, we have some announcements. The charity this month is NPC of the Berkshires, Nonprofit Center of the Berkshires, to help, our culturals, our social service agencies, really stay strong and serve the community. Jeannie has an announcement. Anybody else? And unmute, and then we'll end with a big round of applause for all of us. So Jeannie?
Okay, great.
You have an announcement?
Yeah. I'm looking for my next home. And I'm just telling the world. So I'm telling you all. What I'm looking for is a little house somewhere in the countryside in South Berkshire County. 1-2 bedrooms, good internet.
Good luck in South County. But other than that, I think it's possible.
Washer, dryer, bathtub, and my kitty to be welcome there. Little bit of nature. So I'm temporarily in Great Barrington. I've been here for 4 months. I don't have to leave any minute, but I'm ready whenever the next place finds me. So if you hear of anything, let me know. Thanks.
Beautiful, Jeannie. Yes, I see Elisa, or which I keep on saying wrong a lot.
Basically, all I can say is ditto. I have exactly the same, except no kitty. I'm coming back to the Berkshires in May, and I'm going to be looking for a new home. And I also want something in the country, preferably with large old trees. A place for myself. I'd like to come back to the neighborhood. I'll be in Canaan, New York, and I think most people, well, some people know how to reach me. I'll put my email in the chat.
Put in the chat, and you might be on the list. Anyone else? Announcements, good and welfare, books coming out, showings, anything? And remember, we are looking for iWow hosts. It's really fun. I got to weave in all my personal stories, make you laugh. Remember when I dated Vinny? I think I might have a nightmare about that one tonight, but no, seriously. That really, it brought back such imagery. Anybody else? Announcements, upcoming showings? Sonia, are you raising your hand?
I hope you'll host again soon.
Well, I mean, I always tell my favorite Deb Kaufman story, and it goes like this. I met Deb. Some of you know this. I met Deb. I was maybe a few months sober, So Deb and I didn't really know each other that long, about 2 years, but we talked all the time, and we emailed all the time, and she just helped me. We had little lunches outside, even during COVID, with our masks outside behind the gallery, talked about love. And I say, Deb, I'm too much. And she used to say, like a decadent chocolate cake, I want more. And that is my favorite Deb Kaufman story. She always made me feel like, Eileen, share this gift. Be out there, be bold, be brave, because she was. So, all right. Anybody else? So a big unmute, a big thank you. Please come share your thoughts, your inspirations. A big thank you to Denise, our new iWow support, never mind soul support. So, Denise is really keeping us running.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks,
everybody.
Happy April.
Hi, everybody.
You did a great job. Great job.
Awesome.
You're
very funny.
Frogs again, Phelps. I'm always thinking.